You're listening to Write the Book Now interview and podcast show with host and creator Dr. Sharon H. Porter.
The Write the Book Now interview and podcast show's guest is Lisa Schudel. Whether working with clients on a massage table or sharing with them a way to conveniently add the nutrition of fruits and vegetables to their daily routine, Lisa Schudel is helping people live a longer, fuller, and healthier life. Propelled by her dad's sudden heart attack, Lisa's mission is to help everyone she can make lifestyle choices that can stop preventable diseases in their tracks. In a sense, she's passing on to her clients what her dad gave to her, the opportunity to connect more with their own life passion. And now, the Write the Book Now interview with Lisa Schudel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Write the Book Now interview and podcast show. This is Dr. Sharon, your host and creator. I am here today with my guest, Miss Lisa Schudel, and she is the author of What's Missing in Your Marriage. Lisa, welcome to Write the Book Now.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Absolutely. So we have heard this dynamic bio, but I want you to tell everyone who Lisa Schudel really is.
Well, I am a licensed massage therapist, and I've been doing that for 24 years. I absolutely love it, and I'm also really passionate about health and nutrition. I like to help people, really improve their quality of life through education on mostly diet, but also lifestyle, like exercise, stress reduction through massage. And obviously I wrote a book recently, and it was really kind of a God-inspired thing for me. It was something that was, it's been probably 3 or 4 years. I just would get this thought, like maybe I should write a book, and then it just kind of happened. And I wrote something that I know. I've been married for 23 years, and I kind of incorporated my personal story about my marriage, but also my knowledge of health and wellness.
Awesome. I really love it. And I always, of course, start with the introduction of any book that I read because that really gives you the insight on it. And you are really very transparent in this book. You say you were actually struggling in your marriage initially. And so these steps that you have laid out in this book really help you recover from a struggling marriage. So I really appreciate the authenticity of this book. So tell us a little bit about when you were going through your struggles and what made you say, hey, I need to write the book. I need to actually put this down to help others.
Well, like I said, actually thinking about writing the book just happened within the last couple of years. Actually, somebody reached out to me through Facebook and asked if I would speak at a conference next January in 2018, and it's a marriage conference. And I had not started writing my book yet. I was planning on writing a book about just health and wellness because that's my favorite thing to talk about. But when she asked me to speak at this marriage seminar, and she said, and of course you can promote, if you have a product that you're selling or if you have a book. And when she said that, I was like, okay, I need to write my book.
Right.
And then I really prayed about it for a few weeks of like what exactly I should write about. And I just really felt that God was telling me, you need to share your testimony, which is part of my story with my marriage. So what that rough spot that we were going through in our marriage, that happened a long time ago, probably maybe 4 or 5 years into the marriage. And really wasn't until recently that I decided to write the book and share that story, because through my years of doing massage therapy, a lot of people do share personal things with me. It's kind of like being a counselor, because I'm, they're relaxed and I'm listening and confidential. And so many men and women over the years have shared with me that they were struggling in their marriage and thinking about getting divorced. And whenever they would tell me that, I'd say, do you mind if I just share my story with you? And I believe that God has used what we went through to really help other people, because when you know that other people, I think a lot of people don't realize that other people go through the same things because a lot of people don't talk about it.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. And, one of the things that struck me in the first chapter, the beginning, you actually talk about how you got married when you were 31, which is, I guess you would say, later in life. And I was 32, actually, when I got married. So that really resonated with me. You've been single for a long time, and that's how I felt, too, as, getting married at 32. And so you talked about how you and your husband dated for 3 years. You broke up a couple of times, the normal dating routine that we go through. And then you said you never felt the way that you felt before, which was very interesting. And so then fast forward to 4 to 5 years later, and again, where most people begin to have some struggles, how did you overcome those things that hurt you? Because I think you said it was money and maybe name calling. Because half the time we forget what it is. But
I know.
How did you get over those things?
Learn. I guess. I mean, I don't want to divulge too much about the book because the book.
That's right.
It happened, but once, I mean, so I went through something really profound. I changed. And when I changed and started to become a better person, then he started reacting differently towards me. A lot of people feel like, yes, it takes two people to make a marriage work, but one person can make such a huge difference. If you start responding differently, then your spouse is going to respond differently to you. And that is what I learned. We did go to marriage counseling several times, and the last counselor we went to was the one that really helped me and made me change. And so, it really is just about learning to forgive and let things go. I do feel so fortunate that I don't even remember, like, my husband and I got into a major fight while I was writing this book. And later I was telling my sister about it, and I couldn't even remember why I was upset.
Right.
So I have learned to just, yes, in the moment sometimes I still react and still get upset. What's changed is that we don't hold on to that. We don't go days on end being angry at each other. We just let it go. Usually within the same day we're okay. We just,
right.
And some of the things that I share in the book were tools really that the counselor shared with me to not escalate. It's really easy to react and then, slam a door or call somebody a name and then the other person calls, it's really easy to escalate into a fight. When you catch yourself doing that, stop. And just, even if you have to just walk out of the room and be quiet, you just stop so that it doesn't turn into a fight. It takes two people to fight.
Yes.
So if you stop, then the fight stops.
Wow.
And
yes.
That was huge.
Wow. And, and so I want to jump to your chapter, Balance, because I really felt this chapter was really intrigued because right off the bat, your first thoughts in here was how you didn't have a doubt in your mind the day that you married your husband that, he was the one for you. But then you've asked other individuals about that, and I'm just wondering, what type of responses do you get?
Well, interesting about whether they had any doubt before they got married?
Yes, on the day of their wedding day.
On the day.
Yes.
Honestly, everyone I've ever asked, I usually ask like a new client, so are you married? Do you have family here? Oh, and they'll say, yes, I've been married for 5 years and I've got 2 grown children. And then I'm like, oh, wait, so this isn't your first marriage? No, I was married, when I was 20. And then I'll say, okay, so you got divorced? Yes. And then I always want to know, so what happened? Why did you get divorced? And then at some point I'll say, you mind if I ask you a question? On your wedding day, of the marriage that you got divorced, did you have any doubt in your mind? And they'll go, oh, yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did. So I've just learned that is so important. And even if somebody, especially a young person, if they're telling me I'm getting married for the first time, I'm getting married next month, I always say, do you have any doubt in your mind that you're doing the right thing, that you're marrying the right person? And if they share with me, yes, I'm really not sure, I'll say, don't do it. Don't do it. That doesn't mean you can't get married later.
Right.
If you are having doubts, there's a reason. It's that intuition that something's not right. And maybe it's just that it's not the right time. Maybe that person is the right person, but don't get married right now. Wait.
Lisa, that is so profound. And just to hear those responses, of that doubt. And I can imagine individuals that do have that doubt and still go forward. It will be interesting to see the outcome, the outcome of that.
Right.
That's really profound. Wow. So let's talk about your chapter 4, purpose, because, we talk about our purpose and really what that means. And again, without giving too much of the book, because we want them to buy the book. Definitely. Talk a little bit about what you envisioned when you were writing the chapter Purpose.
I think because I have found my purpose, I know that massage therapy was what I was meant to do. And it has made me a very happy person because there is not a day that I don't wake up in the morning and say, oh, I wish I didn't have to go to work today. I never feel that way. And when I go on vacation, I miss it. I'm like, oh, I want to go back to work. My husband's like, are you crazy? But I really love it that much. I get a lot of fulfillment from what I do. And I think so many people don't have that. And, people who are unhappy haven't found their purpose, whether that's your job or your career or or being a mom or whatever your purpose is. If you haven't found that, you haven't found the joy in what you're doing every day for hours on end, it affects your marriage.
Wow. Wow. I'll tell you, and then the way that you weave, the health and wellness piece, because you talk about the diet and the exercise and the water. I mean, you really found a way to weave it all in because, as you said, all of these things do affect your life, your marriage. And so it's just so refreshing to hear you talk about this. Let's talk a little bit about the health part of it that you talk about in the book, just a little bit, because that's your specialty. That's what you do. You're a health educator. So talk to us a little bit about that and how it plays into your marriage. Okay.
So I actually became very health conscious while I was going to massage school. So that was while we were dating. And some part of that time we weren't even together. We were broken up. But I never knew until I studied anatomy and physiology. I never understood how important what you eat is, how it affects your body and how exercise, because we studied the muscles and the bones and the digestive system and everything. And honestly, for me, it was like this big light bulb came on because I had lost my dad to a sudden heart attack when he was only 52. And I didn't understand what happened to him because he looked healthy. When I was in massage school and I started learning about the way the body works, I realized he was not healthy. Just because somebody looks healthy doesn't mean they are healthy. You don't feel your arteries hardening. You don't feel cancer growing in your body, And so that's why I got so passionate about it. And, and I have studied it for over 20 years. I have tried every diet that's out there. I'm really always curious about any new diet that comes out. When it all comes down to what I have found is to keep it very, very simple, is to eat whole food, like apples and good, lean, organic meat if possible, fruits and vegetables, but whole food, not processed food. The food that comes in a box, that has a list of ingredients that's, the whole side of the box and you can't even pronounce half of them, that is not food. That is chemicals. And so many people are they're weight conscious. They're not health conscious. They just want to be thin. And so they drink diet sodas. They put, the colored packets in their coffee because they don't want to eat any calories. But they don't realize they're poisoning themselves.
Oh, my goodness.
And so the number one thing I tell people is please stop using artificial sweeteners. That is like the worst. I call it rat poisoning because it is. It's known to cause brain damage and cancer. So why are people using it? And most people that drink a lot of diet soda and use those things, they're not thin anyway. You know, it's like that is not
right.
It's not doing them any good.
Right.
So that's just it. I say, read your labels, know what you're eating, know where your meat's coming from if you eat meat, buy organic when possible, and try to eat as much whole food as you possibly can. Every plate you eat, whether it's breakfast, lunch, snacks, half of it should be fruits and vegetables, or fruits or vegetables, half of your plate.
Wow.
And then the meat and the carbs, potato, that kind of stuff, those should be smaller portions.
Wow.
And really water. Drink water.
Yes. Wow. That says to me, you eat better, you'll feel better, and then you'll treat each other better. You really will. Absolutely. So it is so amazing how you can really tie it in, but it is so true. It is so true. And you talk about it in your book, how couples can be so the worst to each other, and that is so true. And so if we are doing all these things, putting all these toxins in our body, then we're not very happy people. So this is so awesome.
It's really not anyone's fault. A lot of people just don't know any better.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
If you watch commercials and, they're showing some kind of junk food and it looks good and you go out and buy it and it tastes good, you're like, cool. And you don't realize you're hurting. The cancer rates in this country are just crazy. Like, the statistics today are that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will have cancer in their lifetime if you live long enough. That is scary.
That is very scary. Very scary.
However, most of it is preventable if you take care of yourself.
Wow. So I'm going to move on to your last chapter, and it's entitled Love. And so I want to read just a single quote, and I want you to talk to me a little bit about that. You said, love is not a feeling, it's a choice. I love that. Talk to me about that.
Okay. So especially in a marriage, I'm going to say that there are times when you don't feel love for your spouse. You may even not like them or feel hatred. I mean, you go through every emotion there is, I think, when you live with somebody and you've been married for a long time or even a short time. It's difficult. So whenever I've gone through a period where I'm feeling like, oh, I don't like him, I don't know if I can live with him the rest of my life, remember that it's a choice. When you marry somebody, you're making a commitment to that person. And in my case, because I believe in God, I also promised God to love this person. And where I learned to really love was by learning how Jesus loves me unconditionally. And so I turn that around and love my husband unconditionally, even if I don't feel like it. It's a choice. It's a choice. And there are times when you're going through a rough time, you have to remember that commitment and the promise, and that you're choosing to stay with that person and choosing to love that person. And sometimes, like I said earlier, sometimes that's just shutting your mouth and walking out of the room.
That's true.
Instead of saying something that's not nice, And so that's why I say it's not a feeling. I think this is part of the problem, and this is how I grew up. I was read fairy tales. My parents would read to me as I was going to bed, and it was always, and they got married and they lived happily ever after. And so I thought, when I grow up and get married, I'm going to meet this perfect man, and he's going to sweep me off my feet, and we're going to live happily ever after. And that's not reality. That's not what happens. And if you think you know a couple that's really happy, they're not telling you everything. Yes, there are happy couples, but it's not all the time. Every single couple has problems, but most people don't talk about it. So then when you're struggling, you feel like you're the only one. You think your marriage, there's something wrong with you, or there's something wrong with your husband, or there's something wrong with your marriage. And it's not. It's just a rough patch that you just get through with love and time and forgiveness.
Wow, I tell you. And this is, and I know, especially for the couple that's going through things, this is a wonderful book. But if you are single and getting ready to get serious, get engaged, or about to be married, this is a wonderful book for you and your spouse to actually sit down and read together. I love it. I love it. I love it. Where can individuals reach out to you if they want you to come speak, just like you're speaking at this marriage retreat? Where can they reach out to you?
Well, I'm very active on Facebook, and my name on Facebook is Lisa Ferguson Schudel, which is also the name I used on my book. And I have a website that's also lisafergusonschudel.com. And so people can either go to the website and send me an email, or they can send me a message through Facebook. I'm happy to give out my phone number because it's out there. If you want that.
And actually, and all of your contact information will be on the show description notes. So just in case you, the readers, did not catch that, certainly look on the description notes for Lisa's contact information, because I tell you, especially all of the marriage and women's retreats that are out there, I can definitely see you sharing your story because it will definitely help someone. And I think what you said is key. People need to know they are not by themselves in the struggle. They are not. So it's just. Definitely reach out to somebody, but be careful, because if you're having a problem and you vent to a friend or a family member, if they encourage you to leave your spouse, then they're not the right person to talk to. Unless you're in a dangerous situation. Obviously, if somebody's hurting you, right, that's different. I love that. And I love the fact that you are rooted in the Word. You are, you. One of your comments, it really says, stay in God's Word. Read your Bible. Everything you need to know about marriage is in that book. That is profound. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, and I'm so glad that you put it in there. That we know, at least where your strength comes from, and you're not ashamed to say that. And I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. I tell you, Lisa, I thank you so much for taking the time out to share with the listeners about your book, What's Missing in Your Marriage. Definitely, please reach out to Lisa on social media. Contact her if you want her to be a part of your marriage retreat, women's retreat, whatever you need. And she's also a health educator, so she can also get you fit while she gets your marriage fit as well. Yeah. So, Lisa, thank you again for being a part of the Write the Book Now interview and podcast show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, thank you for joining another episode of Write the Book Now interview and podcast show. This is Dr. Sharon, your host and creator, as always reminding you, if there's a book inside you, don't wait. Write the book now.
Thank you for joining another episode of Write the Book Now. If you are contemplating writing a book, don't wait. Write the book now with Dr. Sharon. Contact her at info@writethebooknow.com. Also, take a moment to follow us on social media at Write the Book Now.